Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Okay, here's a question for you. Can just one single college stat, be your secret weapon for figuring out if a wide receiver is going to hit it big in the NFL, especially for fantasy football?
It sounds almost too simple.
But today on this deep dive, we're actually unpacking a really fascinating statistical analysis that zooms right in on one specific metric.
Yeah, it's aiming to give you a surprising shortcut, maybe, to spot player potential.
We pulled this from a pretty comprehensive Does It Matter series, the kind that focuses on advanced analytics. It's backed by some solid research.
So let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack the methodology first. How did they even approach this?
Well, the study looked at the top 50 fantasy football wide receivers, specifically in PPR format, points per reception.
Right, pretty standard for fantasy leagues.
And they did this going back quite a way, from 2003 onwards.
And the main focus wasn't their whole college career, but what?
Just their best college season in terms of all-purpose yardage, AP yards.
Okay, so that's rushing, receiving, and return yards all combined.
Exactly. The theory was that the single peak performance, their absolute best showing, might reveal their true top-end potential, like their ceiling.
And why top 50? Why that specific number?
It seemed like a good middle ground, a happy medium, they called it. It lets you compare the really top guys.
The guys kind of just scraping by in fantasy relevance.
Right, the ones they defined as the bottom 10, so ranked 41st to 50th. This way, you're not muddying the waters with players who barely even played.
Makes sense. So what did the initial look at the numbers show?
Well, this is where it gets compelling straight away. Their first averages chart showed something pretty striking.
Yeah.
In 16 out of the 21 seasons they looked at, that's over 76% of the time. Players who ended up being top 5 fantasy performers in the NFL, they actually had better peak AP yardage seasons back in college compared to the guys finishing lower, like 31st to 50th.
Okay, so that's more than just a hint. That strongly suggests there's something there, a real link.
Definitely. It clearly pointed towards a correlation.
But, a hint isn't quite actionable, is it? Did they find, a specific number, a threshold you could actually use?
That was the next step. The initial findings, looking at a differences chart, seemed to suggest somewhere around 1,300 AP yards might be the mark for top performer.
Okay, 1,300.
But then they dug deeper, crunched more numbers, made some range adjustments, and they really pinpointed it. The optimal threshold, the real sweet spot, turned out to be 1,100 AP yards and above.
1,100, so lower than the first guess.
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At brainyballers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting ability so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers' Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
And they were super precise in the study. 1,076 yards.
1,076 yards. Okay, so what does hitting that number actually mean for a player's fantasy outlook? What does it mean for you trying to pick players?
This is the key takeaway. Using that refined threshold, that 1,076 number, it made a significant difference. It led to a 13.8% higher appearance rate in the top 10 fantasy finishes compared to those bottom 10 guys.
13.8% higher chance being a top 10 guy.
Basically, yes, to put it plainly. If a player manages just one college season hitting 1,076 or more all-purpose yards, they are statistically more likely to have at least one top 10 PPR season in their career than they are to not have one.
That feels really specific and actually useful for evaluation.
It is. It's a very targeted insight, and the stats really back it up, connecting it to the bigger picture.
How so? Did they quantify that correlation?
They did. They calculated a Pearson value of 0.138.
Okay, Pearson value. Remind us what that means.
It measures the strength and direction of a linear relationship between two variables.
And 0.138.
That shows a notable positive correlation. The researchers were aiming for at least 0.1 to consider it significant. So 0.138 is pretty solid, indicating a real link between that peak college season and fantasy production.
How does that compare to other metrics people use?
Well, they actually mentioned it for context. Something like quarterback draft capital, which you'd think matters a lot, apparently had a negative Pearson value in their comparisons, like 0.219. So this 0.138 for AP yards looks pretty strong in context.
Interesting. Okay, so the correlation seems robust.
Yeah.
But one potential issue, things change in football, right? Was this finding consistent over time, or is it just a recent trend?
That's a crucial question, and they addressed it. They looked at decadal differences. They checked if this optimal range, the 1,100 plus AP yards, held up across different decades within their 2003 onward timeframe. Reassuringly, yes. It remained a steady predictor across the last 2 decades. It worked for predicting top 10 guys, the middle tier guys, 11th, 40th, and those bottom 10 finishers consistently.
Okay, so it's not just some fluke based on recent years.
Exactly.
All right, so let's try and wrap this up. The core takeaway for you listening seems crystal clear. Finding a wide receiver who hit that 1,076. Well, let's round it to 1,100 all-purpose yards mark in their single best college season.
That significantly boosts their odds of eventually having a top-tier fantasy season in the NFL.
And this isn't just a gut feeling. It's statistically supported and consistent over the last couple of decades.
Precisely. A pretty powerful piece of data from just one number.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, and maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. Given this clear statistical link to just one exceptional college season, how much weight should we, or even NFL teams, give this specific metric?
You mean compared to looking at their whole college career or combine results or draft capital?
Exactly. Could focusing on identifying that one peak season actually be a more precise filter for predicting future success than we might think? It kind of challenges the idea that you need the whole picture, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Definitely something to ponder next time you're looking at rookies or potential breakouts.